Uh, Good evening. My voice is okay? Good evening, dignitaries on the dais, off the dais. It's my immense pleasure to be here for multiple reasons. One is that some of my mentors are there in the audience, especially Siva. I really appreciate. Thank you for guiding me in a much more better way. Thanks very much. And also, I could see a lot of my friends of industry and whom we have worked closely on multiple forums. So the other important factor which I felt to be extremely delighted is predominantly the award itself by NIQR. As you all know that Mr. VK was BHL's chairman at certain point of time. Then he moved on to Maruti Udyog at certain point of time. Lot of learnings as a leader. Probably I like to start off with two of the important experiences what I've gone through. That will be a greatest tribute. So when I actually, could offer a flowery tribute to him, that is what I immensely thanked himself for doing it. As most of the leaders keep saying that the leader's path is not only to, weigh their own generation, how to take it to they should pave a way for the next generation to come. Probably that is one of the finest examples where I have come through. In the early part of 90s, I was working with Richie BHL as a trainee. And I was told that ever since he has taken over, the kind of training program which was organized to these trainees who come for a few years and they may go off, I think probably he has said that I think these are all the people we should actually spend money on them. How actually I could relate is that when I got an interview to go to Maruti Udyog, immediately within 6 months or 8 months, I always wanted to go out to North. I don't know why. I also wanted to learn that language and start doing something different in other part of the world. They asked a simple question that, how do you inspect automotive welding joints? Because I was from a welding shop expert. I'm a valves expert, I said. In the limited period of 6 months, I started talking about an X-ray testing, MRI. At that time in the early 90s, I don't know how many of the hospitals had MRI. BHL had that MRI. We could actually see that all those things into picture. And then all, LPIs and MPIs. They said, there is one more method. I said, whatever I know is 150 millimeters of thickness of a body shell. A boiler shell gets welded together, and that is what, I'm sorry, I don't know. More than that, I have not any idea. He said automotive uses 0.8 millimeter of thickness, and we do a simple chisel test. I mean, chisel test is the simplest form of test, which I was not even aware of it. And they said that, I think being a product of BHL, I think you are in, absolutely. You come back and join, and that rest is absolutely history. The second thing, by the time we joined there, I think probably he was elevated. Government of India has asked him to move on to SAIL because he had to move. I was always told that as a leader at that time itself, you give all your ideas on a common platform, but once it is decided, everybody should go back and only implement. Do not, so to say, apply your brain, because that all the application has to come at the time of ideation itself. How legendary could it be? And I could always attribute this particular thing for Maruti's success for many years. I think once it is done, and that's what we generally see it in a Japanese culture, once it is decided, it's always being followed without any break. We call it as a 3K concept. I think he's a man who has actually brought across, and this is one of the finest of opportunity. Thank you so much, Swami sir and rest of the teams to, to allow me to really come and honor the teams. That's precisely, I really wanted to do that. The second thing about my heart is congratulations to, Prakash, Jitendra, and also, Mr. I'm sorry, I just forgot your name. Vijay Raghavan, sir. I don't know how many of you said that you got such a lovely voice like SPB. You should go on for a singing. I don't know, such a lovely voice you have. It's extraordinary to see that the kind of presentations you guys have done, especially the younger generation. I really appreciate. Both Prakash himself came forward, so both that clearly indicates that how much is the connect with the business which is going on. Predominantly, this is what the thing exactly we require. I'm just going through certain ideas. Of course, we, as a part of not only in NIQR, in CII, and multiple forums, we are in the business of developing the entire ecosystem. That's what we need to work on that. Because there are companies, multiple companies who are coming and investing here in India, and they bring technology. But we always take a pride of making a vehicle for 75 years, whereas the R&D is situated in India and with our own engineers who have been developing whether it is an engine or the vehicles as a part of Ashok Leyland, wherein this particular ecosystem development is extremely crucial and important. And from the plant where you can not only make diesel products for 75 years, or you also prepare for hydrogen fuel cell, hydrogen ICE, and also electric vehicle, which are all done by indigenous technology, is tremendous. We believe it's an actually greatest opportunity. And this is all coming from our own engineers and also our own ecosystem. So it becomes paramount important for us also to really work towards this improvement of us. That's what is being doing by our own team. I'll also come a little later in terms of what OEM need to do. Of course, that's what our responsibility. We should talk about it also. But before that, a lot of references have come in terms of China plus one, China plus, right, and all the other stuffs. So having seen the entire industry for at least a minimum of 3 decades, what I could understand is that if you want to beat China at this point of time, at a cost, is not going to happen at all. At least they are better by at least 30 to 40%. There are multiple reasons behind it. Government pours money onto them, at least till the time technology gets developed. The capacity is humongous. Obviously, marginal cost of manufacturing is going to be much lower. I think if you want to really do that, beating on that is not going to really help. How this can come in a much more better way? Probably they also started learning. That's why the modern cars which are coming out of China's staple is tremendously quality orientation, which really incidentally talks about National Institution for Quality and Reliability. That's what both words are extremely important. If you really want to move in those directions of it, what we want to do, like Viksit Bharat of 2047, as Honorable Prime Minister said, probably the way what we are working will definitely not work. This could be only a simple foundation, but this is not going to really result on multiple areas. I also was going through one of the important document in terms of how MSME has been faring well. Globally, in a developed so-called economies, we'll also become developed soon. At that time, my next generation will talk about as a developed country, India, we are doing, but right now we are in an emerging economy only. Maximum two-thirds of the, at least 66% of the employment is actually coming from MSME. Whereas India is the only place 90% of the employment is coming from MSME. That's the biggest important change which is already there. But having said that, plays a very important role. Unless otherwise we develop this, that so-called other countries' competition is not going to happen. But also another important area is that in 2000s, I think above, when you see this $10 billion companies, whatever is currently there, they just make 1 out of 5 companies in the world globally who have actually done $10 billion now. In 2000, 2005-06, they were a part of an MSME only. So that is what the level of scope these guys have actually grown up. Whereas in India, it's much, much lower what it is all about. So it's only a 10%. So where is 10%? Whereas, 3 out of 10 is 3 out of 10 is extremely. So 10% versus 30%. That is a big opportunity. That's why when we talk about wherever I visit people talk about IPO now. That means they started thinking about expansion to their highest core, which I really appreciate. This is one of the important activities also. If you already want to really move in those directions, maybe something else is required. Because we have been talking about quality and reliability for many years. I think all our legendary people have also been talking about, like Mr. Ravi was talking about 67, probably what the definition of quality and reliability, which he also explained. If some problem is there, we are ready to replace. That's why customers were getting happy, but now the customers are expecting not to have any created at all. So to my mind about the definition of quality and reliability has come completely a metamorphosis changes in the last few years. It is more of an emotional thing. If you just go back to any of the Webster or Oxford dictionaries, quality is nothing but an attribution or a character of an object or an individual. It does not talk about conformance to standard products. That's not the way. Which means it is more of a heart-related thing rather than a mind or a numbers-related thing. So probably are we actually transitioning? That extent is very, very important. Probably I like to put that point in this area. The second thing is about the reliability. The most important word which is seldom missed by our ecosystem. At the end of the day, we do really care. We have to really be cost competitive. We need to be. That's the qualifier. But having said that, it is something like when you toss a child on the air, it always laughs because they know very well that the father or a mother or a brother is going to hold him. Similarly, are we able to have that trust on the ecosystem together between both of us is extremely important. So both are, to my mind, is more of a, emotions related, whether it is a quality or reliability. As a company, as an ecosystem, are we really imbibing to that level is the biggest question mark. And these kind of initiatives like this, I'm sure, is going to take us to a next big leap going towards that direction. So maybe as a part of a checkpoint, I think I would request our team also to add on these activities also. We are all thinking about $5 trillion economy, 2047, such a huge opportunity. None of the other countries in the world have this opportunity. I think probably this is extremely important. And as rightly said, I think more than 10 lakh crores of possibilities of money is there. So there is a money there. There is an opportunity there. All we need to do is that convert ourselves into an emotional thing, which can always come across from those areas. How do we really improve upon? This is a second generation thing, of course, from a baby boomer to the next level of XY generation. I believe that there is a sense of urgency is the thing which we always talk about. At least I personally talk wherever I go. The level of speed on which we have been growing or we have been working is not definitely enough, which is always said by a very important author, which I have always been fondly talk about, is about Dan Sullivan. He talks about 10x is easier than 2x. That's a very lovely book about how a change of mindset need to come. If you want to just go to the double level, the kind of effort what is required is much higher if you really want to go on to the 10x level of it. 10x means 10 times can we do that. In his book, the second chapter itself, he talks about what is extremely important about how do you do anything is the way, how do you do everything. Anything, whatever we do, if we do it everything in the same old way, maybe perhaps that is how the 10x efforts will come in multiple ways. There are hundreds of examples comes into picture. Maybe for a easier things to come across, what does indicate to that means, elevating your identity and also, the basic levels into the converting it to emotional and also, the qualitative efforts of whatever the effort we are doing. So we talked about emotional, but in terms of qualitative, what exactly does it mean? That's a very important, tricky thing which he talks about, which I felt to be important. Which to a certain extent, I found a lot of relativity between what Mr. VK also talked about, way back. When he started off as I was never known, I don't know how many of you are aware, he was a participant of a World War II as a technician supporting government of India in certain form, and then move on to such a big positions of public sector and kept on moving. So there are a lot of connectivity between that. There are 4 C's that books also talk about: commitment, courage, capability, and also confidence. That there are 2 important things, which is the commitment is there all across the places, especially this part of the world, especially South India. I feel a lot of commitment to performance is always there. There is no doubt about it. But the most important thing which I request you to become a kind of a courage and also a confidence. I think these 2 things have to really come, and only then we can actually leap bound to the next level of 10x level, which he always talks about. One of the finest example which comes into my mind is how many of you are on YouTuber? There is a guy called Mr. Beast. Have anybody heard about him? His name is Jimmy Donaldson. He has got the highest amount of followership. The viewership is close to 30 crores, which is 1/3 of our population right now. That's what the whole holistic world, he has got a followership. When he talks about how did he actually enhance in the last 5 years to this 30 million, he started off with just 100,000 maybe before 5 years. What he ended up having around 30 crore people now as a best opportunity. With so much of geopolitical dramas going around us, I think we are one of the finest placed people under cover. We can actually start performing ourselves and move out to the certain areas to go to the next level. I think probably that is going to play a very important role. As a OEM, we have been working a lot in those directions. Being a quality month, we all know, I'm happy that this award itself is being given during the period of quality months. Instead of celebrating only 1 month, that converted into 2 months because we wanted to reach out to as many people as possible. And multiple ways, we as a company, Ashok Leyland, trying to take all the people put together, our own vendors, take them to the better places of dealers, customers, what exactly do they want, how do we really convert ourselves into that, and how we can actually connect ourselves into the next meeting. 100% of our meetings start off with the quality parameters first. What exactly is the ranking system? Our team is there who always keeps working on these directions. So this clearly indicates that where exactly we can move to the next level of generations to come. So having said that, we have an opportunity of, golden opportunity in our hand. And in this golden opportunity, how we are going to make utilization and take our country and also our ecosystem to the next level. Utilizing this opportunity is the best thing. Probably I can leave that thought with all of you. So we all know, there are 5 important things. Even Mr. VK talks about it. One and first, there are 3 related to people, 2 related to technologies. In fact, a little bit of numbers. The first is about how we are actually bring every stakeholders together, and also how we are actually respect to and dignify to the people, which we really discussed about this, and how the customer focus can actually bring it across in all those areas, how the entire ecosystem is well connected together, whether it is a dealer or a vendor partners or their own tier 1 and tier 2, tier 3, tier 4, and most importantly, finally, how far we are focusing on productivity and cost, which we have already seen. And at the end of the day, how the morale of the entire systems keeps working on that. I think if we can work on these directions and how we can actually involve the entire set of people is very, very crucial of that. Maybe perhaps one important thing which, which strikes across to my mind, any company which connects to the people of the people, not the lowest level, in terms of their education, in terms of their performance, in terms of their contribution, which is being perceived to be lower. That is what I would call the people who are on the shop floor, how far we are able to connect. In case if that connection is there, maybe perhaps that company is the one which is going to rule the roost. The best example is that in Ashok Leyland, I was astonished because I am there with this wonderful organization for the last 2.5 years. There are many, stalwarts who are also in the audience who have already done this company for many years. There is an initiative called Improve, and that Improve has come, is a 23rd year wherein thousands people will come together in a common stage. They keep presenting their own skills and various activities of it. But having said that, this is a time to really convert this into a technological. We never thought that a technology can actually be brought on by this set of people also. We were doing an experiment for the last 2 years. The same, a lot of guys who are there in this part of country itself to really help us to really utilize these opportunities. Last year, our team has actually done this exercise, bringing up the people who are ready to give an innovation technology platform in a much cost-effective manner, and bring all the MSMEs down to them, saying that this is not a very costly affair. Don't worry about money, because ultimately what matters is money. And if you start spending those much of money, probably difficult. So just to make all those things possible, how best way of digitalization can actually come across. In my personal experience, I've done this in multiple ways, and we are able to take OEMs in a much more bigger level. Like my previous experience, we could actually demonstrate to the world that with our own Indian technology, we can actually make it much more better than any of the other companies of foreign. So similarly here also it is possible with a lot of Indian and also our own people the young engineers who come. It's a matter of just year of investment to all of us, probably to convert them into a real kind of a shop floor guy into a real data analyst. I think if you start planting a couple of peoples in your plant with the younger generation, with this new generation comes into picture, probably the 10x of another area can actually go. In those 4 or 5 areas, I believe, in case if we all start working, I think probably there is no end to point that maybe why 2047, by 2030 itself we can become a Viksit Bharat which is a 5 trillion economy. In that process, we are going to be there with you as a OEM. It's a testimony of, importance in what we have been giving. We will work together as a OEM. We should take much more initiatives. We do agree, but also we request you to keep emotions as an important thing and quality at the heart to really make it happen, rather than doing it comparing with the numbers alone. In that note, thank you so much for inviting me here. Wishing you all the best. God bless all of you. Thank you.
They have spent for us and sharing their best strategies, life lessons. Murli Shankar sir, please honor our